guys, welcome. I'm Cody and this is Mari, the bar at Angela's Kitchen in Alameda. We're going to be using pineapple as our main superstar ingredient here. And we're going to be making a pineapple syrup out of it, which is going to be conducive to making a bunch of different cocktails, but today I'll walk you through a pineapple fresh lime daiquiri. So to start off, we're going to need to prep our pineapple. I always start by cutting off both ends. That makes a nice base for us, so we're going to put it upright and then just start getting all of this hard skin off of the outside because that will be gross. This is all going to end up going in our blender, and if any of that ends up getting blended in, it's going to taste disgusting. So then we're going to cut around everything. So we're going to cut around the core. The core is going to be kind of a woody, hard, gross thing right in the middle of all the soft, fleshy pineapple goodness on the outside. And this core is gross and we can't use it for our actual syrup right now, but we're going to save this and keep it off to the side because that'll make some really fun garnishes later. The actual meat of the pineapple, we're just going to cut up into small chunks. There's no particular size, just to make it a little bit more conducive to blending and not getting all clogged up, so I don't have to jam a thing in there 8 billion times to get it to blend. Okay, so then we're going to add all of those pineapple chunks to our blender. If you don't have a blender, you can probably also throw these into a citrus press and get enough juice out of there to add some sugar to it and make the syrup. So once that's all blended, I grab a big wide metal bowl and throw my just a cloth in there. If you have cheesecloth, which I have never figured out how to use very well, feel free to use that. I just use napkins, easy cleanup, and the micron size is correct for what we want to do with it. Try and make less of a mess than that when you're opening up your blender, and then just go ahead and dump it all right into the cloth. So now that we have all of our pineapple schmutz inside of the cloth, we're just gonna squeeze it out. Normally when I'm straining stuff through cloths, I say don't agitate it too much and just let it fall through. But not the case with this. Just go ahead and squeeze it out. It'll probably take a minute or two to get all of it out, but it should be a nice kind of foamy, rich, dark yellow color, and it should be nice and fragrant, and you'll probably want to drink it all right there, but don't, because we still need to make syrup out of it. All our juice out. We're going to go ahead and dump that into a nice clean mason jar. Da-ding. So next we're going to grab our food scale, and then you can either turn it on and then tear it once your jar is on, or just do what I do, put the jar on and turn it on. Then we're going to set it to grams, pressing the unit button. Alright. We're doing this so that we can weigh out our juice, we're doing this to weigh out our juice because we want to make a syrup that is 50% sugar by weight. That's also called bricks. In the industry, you want your syrup to be 50 bricks, which is just percent sugar by weight. So we know that pineapple has about 10%, give or take a percentage or two, but about 10% sugar by weight. So in order to make this 50% sugar solution, I'm going to take the weight of the pineapple juice, multiply it by 0.9, and then add that much sugar to it. So for example, I have 324 grams of pineapple juice here. So I'm going to subtract 10% of that and then add that much sugar. So I'm going to subtract about 32 grams from 324, which is going to give us adding 292 grams of sugar to this. And here's a little tip for making syrups. If you're gonna be keeping it for a while, I recommend adding just a little bit more sugar than what would be 50% worth. If the solution is even slightly more than 50% sugar, it's gonna last a lot longer. Or if you're only gonna be using this for booze and cocktail purposes, throw a little dash of whatever booze you want in there. That'll also help it keep for quite a while. Okay, so once we have 292 grams in there, we're gonna close that up. And we're gonna shake it until all the sugar dissolves. The reason we're doing it this way, when it might be faster to, say, heat up the pineapple juice and add sugar that way, and just have the heat dissolve the sugar, we're not gonna do that because when you add heat to fruit or vegetables or fresh ingredients, it ends up tasting a lot less fresh. Cooked fruit tastes like cooked fruit. So this will keep all of the qualities of nice fresh pineapple. And shake that up for a few minutes until you don't see any more sugar thingies, particles floating around in there. While this is doing its thing for a minute, let's go ahead and remember that pineapple core from earlier? We're gonna make some fun garnishes with that. So I just take the whole thing and then I'll just do make little strips off of it so it ends up as these kind of flattish, rectangle-y type hourglass-ish figures. I could probably say some more shapes too, but you get the point. Once we get those, once you get some nice, here, find a better one. Once you get some nice flat thingies out of that, now just start cutting them into little thin sticks. I use a dehydrator with these, so I'll throw these in my dehydrator for maybe 10, 12 hours at about 135 Fahrenheit. If you are like everybody in the universe and you don't have a dehydrator, what I do is after I'm done baking something in my oven or after I'm done making dinner or whatever, I'll turn the oven off and then I'll throw in a tray of whatever fruit I'm dehydrating, and then next morning it's usually vaguely where I want it. Kind of like grandma's cookies, some in the back are sort of overdone, some in the front are still a little juicy, the ones in the middle are perfect, but all of them make great garnishes. And after they come out, they'll look something like this. Also, you can do this when you add the sugar or after, it doesn't really matter, but it will make a much better flavor. You're gonna add a little pinch of salt to this whole solution. That salt is doing the same thing it does in cooking, it just makes the other flavors pop more. It shouldn't add a salty flavor. It will just add slightly more pineapple and lovely, delicious flavor. Okay. So once that's all dissolved, we're gonna grab a clean vessel and a funnel so we don't make more of a mess than I already have. And it should be really lovely and silky and kind of look like a pastel orange yellow color. The reason it looks so airy too is that pineapple has a whole bunch of foaming agents in it, so after we shake this up into a cocktail, it should retain a nice kind of frothy head on top of it, which makes it look really pretty and gives it a nice texture and mouthfeel. So for actually making the cocktail, you're gonna grab your favorite glass. And you can either serve this straight up, just shake it and strain it into the glass, or do it over a big rock like I'm about to do, or do it over small rocks. No wrong answers here. So we're gonna take our smaller mixing tin, grab a jigger if we have one. If not, we're just gonna eyeball it. I'm gonna use just a nice, clean, clear rum. If you want to have some fun with it, go ahead and throw some dark rum in there. If it's the holiday time, which it is right now, throw some spiced rum in there to get some winter spice flavors. Again, no wrong answers. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of the base spirit here. I'm gonna add 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. This is a good start for making any refreshing or citrusy cocktail. The ratio is 2 ounces of base spirit, 3/4 of an ounce of citrus, 3/4 of an ounce of your 50 Brix syrup. But have some fun with those ratios. If that's too boozy for you, scale back on the alcohol. If it's too sweet for you, scale back on the syrup or scale up on the citrus, or vice versa in any way, shape, or form. This is your cocktail to have fun with now. That's embarrassing. So to shake this cocktail, we're gonna grab our bigger mixing tin here. If in the ideal situation, you're gonna have access to a large ice cube and a couple of smaller ice cubes. Just about that. Those smaller ice cubes are for the dilution. I know nobody likes a watery drink, but we actually want a little bit of cold water getting into our finished cocktail that opens up the flavors and makes it super palatable. That's actually one of the things that makes cocktails delicious. The bigger ice cube is just adding texture, and then both of them together are taking away temperature. So especially with something that has foaming agents in it, that big ice cube is really going to pump a bunch of air into that, and we should get a really nice frothy, foamy head on top of the drink. Also, if you don't have access to mixing tins, if you have a plastic cup in your cabinet and then a smaller glass or plastic cup, jam them together and it should work. Just do the exact same thing I'm doing here. Just be careful, especially with things that have foaming agents in them. Before the tins seal and you first start shaking it, it's gonna want to push the tins apart from the air that's being released from the syrup. And I can't even tell you how many times I've ended up with pineapple juice all over my front from that exact thing. Pour the smaller tin into the larger one with the ice, and then go ahead and shake it up. As long as you're not doing the most flaccid shake ever, 10 to 15 seconds should do it. It's difficult to overshake the cocktail, so don't underdo it is all I'm saying, because you'd run out of steam before you actually added too much water to this drink to over dilute it. Remember, big smile when you shake, right through the mask. They can tell. If you don't have access to a strainer and fine strainer, which I'm about to use, go ahead and take that smaller thing and drop it right in. That will make a strainer. It's going to keep that ice down and just dump it right in. But for fanciness' sake right now, since I have all the tools, I'm going to pour it through a fine strainer to get any of those last little ice chips and make sure that we have a really silky smooth cocktail. Dump it on in. And if you remember those little pineapple garnishes we made earlier, grab a couple of those, put them right across the top. I always have lots of these little lime wheels around too. Same method of making these as the pineapple. Clink. And that is your fresh lime pineapple daiquiri.